Caving is a very challenging thing for some of us. Me also. There are a lot of unknown knowledge and things in the cave. Firstly, I never did caving ever before, and I do not know how to do caving and some special knowledge in cave. For example, what build up those special stone, and the water flow, species, metal, and mineral. What I should improve is to learn the detail of things or place where I'm going. I think it will help myself understand more and learn more during the process. What I highlight is the during the caving is the mud shower and swim in spring water. It is a choice to have a mud shower or not, and I chose to do these things. I knew that I would make my clothes and my body dirty, but I still did that. The feeling of my shower was very unique and weird, but it was very interesting also to put them on my face and my body. Maybe it's a very easy thing for the other people, but I put quite lots of courage to do that. Even though nobody forced me to do that. And the other event I did is jump into the spring water after caving. That's really cool. I never did things exciting like this ever before. These are only one day event, but I find new me during process. When I met challenge, I was not trying to avoid those things, but face and do that instead. It is kind of growth.
One of the most remarkable event and activity that I think personally is the abseiling activity that we had on the second day of the camp. So the abseiling activity is basically climbing up a short and small cave, and then going up the cliff, and then using the slides to come down ourselves. So what's so important about this event to me personally is that when I went up there, it was really high, and then as well as really hot. So and then after some climbing, I'm really exhausted. But then I start to realize that I've never realized that I am this afraid of height, because usually when I go up some bridges or really like tall towers, I don't really usually have this kind of feeling. But when I'm up there, all I've got is like a single rope that's attached to my belt, but I felt really dangerous, and then as well as helpless because yeah, that's the only thing I've got when I'm up there. So despite there are some coaches and then as well as guides to help us with, but I felt that I've lost like the total control of like everything. Yeah, so this helps me to get to know much better into myself, because I start to realize that I'm someone who really likes to have control of everything in life, but instead at that very moment things went the total opposite, entirely opposite. So I think that's a really critical moment during the cast week and the cast trip too, as this actually taught me a lesson that what type of person I am. So Yeah, actually, I think trying to grab hold of like the the full control of everything in life isn't that bad as a personality. So that actually helps me to become a better person somehow. For example, maybe during schoolwork, I usually try to do the best I can, and then as well as maybe in life, I try I'll be taking hold of everything and making everything as perfect as possible. Yeah, so I think this activity is really critical and then as well as important to not only me but as well as um some other people, because I'm pretty sure that it's not just me who felt a bit of losing control up there at that very moment. But somehow this is personally the activity that I remember the most clearly and as well as cherished the most out of so many other activities such as archery and as well as caving. So I think abseiling not only requires like courage but as well as some self belief and then as well as confidence. So all of these are really important important qualities inside a person, and I believe it's also something that is that are very cherished by the entire cast project. So I think the cast trip was really good, and I managed to learn something from this. So furthermore from this, moreover, we also went to as group 2 independently. We went to another school where there are some kids with limited cognitive abilities, such how they think and how they speak. So we helped to build them a running track, a track ground, so such that they can learn how to turn. So I think this is also another really important part of that entire activity, because it moves aside apart from what we actually did individually, because I think the entire camping and the first 4 days are just leisure times, but the last 2 days excluding the airport day, where when we are leaving, the 2 days that we are spending in the schools are the most important part of this entire cast trip. So usually turning should be very easy for a normal child, but for them it might be something that they can only think of, maybe not even think of. So I think this is one of the part in which we realize the problem of poverty, and as well as the changes that we can make according to our own ability to help this child over this region in China. Furthermore from this, I think that this helped me to personally to realize that it's not about like poverty that actually determines happiness, but instead I think the more materialism we have in Hong Kong, the less happiness we actually have. So I think a lot of people actually experienced and felt the same way as I did. But the kids in both the disabled school and then as well as the Gaozhou school, primary school, all of the kids that I met are really happy and they really loved what they have at that very moment. So I think this is a very valuable, a praiseworthy thing to actually think about and to further develop some thoughts about it from it. So I think yeah, this trip is really meaningful in terms of how we can actually experience the environment back in Yangshuo ourselves, such as in Porty, and then as well as the environment and the space, living space, and then also as well as the like living quality for the kids, and then as well as the people down up there. So the place that we visited the most, I believe, is the part that surrounds the hotel in which we residence in. So that's a really typical tourism area, and it's really pretty much highly developed in terms of economics, as there are a lot of foreigners, foreign visitors, and then as well as tourists. So um so personally, I think that Yangshuo is not really a place that you can really see the significance in poverty between other countries and in China.
During the whole cast trip, there's actually a lot of like exciting events and activities, and I actually really enjoy this week, and I think it's one of the best trip in the Yuchong life. But like apart from all those fun and exciting activities, the most part that I enjoy during the whole trip is the community service part. But even though this may not be the most fun or challenging part um, for the cast trip, but I think I actually learned a lot from this part of activity and events, and I learned a lot, and I get some inspirations from what I observed from by the school and the kids in the school and how they live. From the first day, we are painting the walls and drawing stuff on the wall in order to like making the school to look better, in order to create a better study or teaching environment for those kids. But I actually like one of the child which follows me like for the whole process of the whole day and even the second day. Our mission is to actually get in touch, and we will start interview on the second day. And I think I actually got a lot of information about those kids. Apart from our mission, I actually fall in love of those kids, especially a boy which followed me for the whole day. Like instead of feeling annoyed, like for in the past few years, I actually don't like kids because I actually think they're annoying. But I think kids from the city are actually different from those kind of kids. I've become more patient, and I've found the difference between them. Um, the reason that I'm annoyed by kids in the past is because kids from the city, they actually live in their own world, like where they often play their mobile phones and they play their tablets, and they actually talk less. And I saw a lot of unpolite kids in Hong Kong on the way to school, because I see the kids swearing to their parents, and I think why kids nowadays turn into those kinds of kids that they do things that they should not to be doing. Kids we meet during the community service are naive, with no inter with no interference from the society. They like to express themselves, and they like to talk and play with us, even though there's a really huge age gap, like between 10 to 11 years. And they are the representative of real kids in my mind, in my opinion, and how kids should behave nowadays, actually, and the kind of kids that I like. Like even though children from less developed areas behave better than kids in the city, it's kind of strange and really need us to reflect on what we are doing right now and how the society change and how the society change kids nowadays. But like not only for kids, like for most of the people in the society, like even for adults, like how they treat their kids or how they treat other people. It's about like how people communicate and how people interact nowadays. Like since there's more science and technology and everything may be replaced by science or like new stuff like phones and computers, and people actually get less in touch with each other, and which cause a problem. It's like kind of autism, but I think we need to talk more. Like people need to talk more nowadays. We shouldn't live like a zombie with no will or targets of the future. Like from the interview by those kids, I in the second day, I actually interviewed two kids. One of them called Mo Zhengjie and another one called Mo Pingxu. I actually asked a lot of questions out of the booklet, like what do you want to be in future, and one of them said they want to be a scientist, and the other one said they want to be a police. Most of the child in this school are actually like leftover children's. What at least one of their parents will leave for like half of the day to go out of the city to work, or some of them even live with their grandparents. Like from what I learned from those kids is I actually reflect on ourselves and reflect on what we do and what we did in the past few years, and I think we need to we need to change ourselves. Like kids in those less developed areas, they have their own wills and they have their future jobs, and I think they have a direction. Like most of the people in the city, even with better learning and living environment, we don't have a direction to our future. And the point is, we don't deserve any kind of things in our lives. From the talk of a music artist like days ago, from what he said is, we don't deserve any kinds of life like this. We're just being lucky. Even though we can't change anything right now, but honestly, we need to cherish everything we got today, and we need to use things we have these days in order to get better lives and get our right direction in our future. We shouldn't be decadents and complaining society or complaining others, because we have better lives comparing with those kind of kids. So I think this is what I learned from the experience, and I'm willing to go back to the school to meet those kids in future 1 or 2 years. That's what I want to do.
I won't forget what happened within these days. I've never done these activities before. I felt a little bit scared before I did each one. I just wanted to escape, but I know I can't. When we episode, I saw one of our group mates cried out loud. I was thinking, oh my god, the next one is about to cry up there would be me. Also, since I can't see stuff when there is no light, therefore it really challenged me. When I passed the hardest part, as one of the workers said, the dark part actually for me is the hardest one. I asked the worker up there to use the torch guide me, However, there were a lot of big stones blocked the skylight. I was so lucky to finish it without any fall down, because I fell down many times on the first day's activity, the climbing one, and I hurt my legs and palms. As our teacher said, you need to tell yourself you can do it. The most challenging part is your fear. After I finished the climbing inside the cave, they asked me to look at the view. It was really nice, but then when they asked me to abseil, my legs and hands were shaking. Anyway, I did it. Luckily, my teacher was next to me and kept guiding me. Also remind me to keep my hand away from that red ring. Trusting people is an important skill in this activity. All of the helper, workers, and teachers worked really hard. Without any doubt, we should work hard too and enjoy every single bit of this trip. Sometimes I really hate myself is because I always try to escape, to not face the thing I don't know well. Same as at school. If a teacher asks a question, I won't answer it unless I'm 100% comforted that I can do it correctly. I'm afraid of making mistakes, but I've never thought this fear is already a mistake. Making mistakes is totally fine, especially for students. That's why there are so many teachers and elder people are guiding us. During the climbing and abseiling, I saw group mates would like to give a try. They did make mistakes. They did feel confused when they reached the hardest part, but they still give a try. They are not afraid of making mistakes. That's what I should learn from them. And this attitude did change me in some ways. Also, when you have a problem and you don't know how to solve it, just ask. During the climbing, I asked the helper for help many times, and they would like to help you. Everyone's value is different. Why teachers are being teachers? Why helpers are being helpers? Because they want to educate, to help people grow up to a better person. I can saw their passion during this trip. The last interview with my CAS supervisor, I told him that I always have questions, but I feel afraid to ask. I'm afraid that the teacher might think the question is stupid, and And he said he became a teacher it's because he wants to help students. If one day he doesn't have a good mood, but a student asks him a question and he helped the student to solve it, that would be the happiest thing for him on that day. I finally realized that I was putting my own value upon others. When I'm not familiar with someone, I wouldn't try to talk to them or know them. I would take a guess and judge them by my own. And this is a big mistake. A really big mistake. I won't forget these 0 days. I tried, I made mistakes, I learned, I saw people's passion, their thinking, and compared to my own original thoughts, I think respect others' value and try to not to escape from everything I'm not sure about or what I learned about within these days.